No doubt this will have a big impact on our military strategy, with some lawmakers, like Senator John McCain, saying as long as ISIS seizes more territory, it will continue to grow and attract more followers. Earlier, I spoke with the senator about the challenges we're facing right now.
Well, first of all, it's not too surprising because we have had, and I have had information that because of their success, they have been attracting men, particularly young men, in some cases women, from all over the world, particularly from all over the Middle East. So their success has been a huge magnet for young people who have been indoctrinated by radical Islam. So now, what do we need to do? I think we need to understand the enormity of this challenge. It's going to take a lot more boots there on the ground, not American combat forces such as the 82nd Airborne, but forward air controllers and intelligence people and drones and a lot of other capabilities. Finally, when he says that this situation, when the president says that this is like Somalia and Yemen, that means the president doesn't understand the dimensions of the challenge.
Because a lot of people have been very surprised by those remarks from the speech earlier this week, saying that those two campaigns were not that successful at all.
They were not successful, and they are terrorist organizations which over time can be contained. ISIS has to be destroyed. Otherwise, they are a direct threat to the United States of America. Now, whether it is a credible, immediate threat, I'm getting a little tired of that argument, because the fact is that on Twitter and on Facebook, ISIS is encouraging people to come to the United States and attack it. And unfortunately, our southern border is not secure, and that poses a long-term danger.
Well, I wanted to bring that up because I didn't hear anything in the speech this week from the president about beefing up the borders, and I was very concerned about this, as are others, because there are reports, as you pointed out, that people are already coming over to the United States, crossing the border. Do you think Congress has to push harder in this session to push for action to beef up the borders right now?
Well, I wish we would, and as you know, I am one of the architects of comprehensive immigration reform. Because of this threat, and because of the children showing up on our border, and because of the insecurity, I believe we have to get a 90% effective control of our border, 100% awareness, and we can do that within a couple of years.
Well, you know, much has been said over the last few days of John Kerry's view that we are not at war with ISIS, calling this a counterterrorism operation. Why the reluctance to call it war if the aim is to destroy ISIS?
I have no idea, except to say that I think it's pretty obvious that ISIS believes that they're in a war against us. Remember Baghdadi, their leader, when he left our Camp Bucca in Iraq, our prison camp, he said, "See you in New York." There's no doubt of what their intentions are. It's again this sort of fecklessness of this administration in facing up to the terrorist a threat posed by ISIS in particular. There's comparison with Somalia and Yemen, the reluctance, in fact, the President overruling his national security team on arming and equipping the Free Syrian Army.
Let me talk to you now about the coalition that the president is trying to put together. Despite efforts to proclaim there's going to be a strong coalition of allies working with the U.S., key Middle East players like Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan are, for the most part, staying on the sidelines and offering lukewarm support to the president's expanded military campaign. What impact going forward is this going to have?
He's got a huge credibility problem, Uma, and that is when he announced to one and all, and had, in fact, some of these countries ready to strike Syria with us over the issue of chemical weapons, where he said, by the way, if they crossed the red line, they wouldn't have to get rid of the chemical weapons. He said if they crossed the red line, he would strike them, and announced he was going to strike them because they crossed the red line, and then reversed. That had a huge impact on these countries in the region. The fact is, and a little straight talk, they don't trust us. They don't trust us to carry through. And they were probably not very well satisfied with the president's statements at his speech, particularly relating ISIS to Yemen and Somalia.
Let me ask you really quickly about the Free Syrian Army. One quick question. There are a lot of folks, though, who are very concerned that arming this opposition group will lead to further concerns, because how do you trust the current crop of people who are part of this army? How do you know that it's okay to give military hardware at a time when it remains still unclear about what their long-term motives are? Who's going to vet these people?
Well, first of all, I've vetted a number of them because I know them. Second of all, it's just an excuse for people who don't want to act to say that these people are not to be trusted. Look, they've been, I can't tell you what they have been through. The hundreds and even thousands of that have been killed and slaughtered with these barrel bombs and tortured to death by Bashar Assad. They can be trusted. There are groups of them to be trusted. They aren't as good as they used to be because of our failure to help them, and they can be vetted, and we can do it quickly, and obviously there are some risks. But what's our other option here? If someone who says we don't want to do it because we can't trust the Free Syrian Army, then what is your option, sir and ma'am, in how we're going to attack ISIS in an effective fashion? And by the way, they got to be able to attack Bashar Assad as well, who is working with the Iranians to destroy them.